Hey everybody, welcome back to Still Can't Cook. I am Kelly Fahey, your host. You should know that by now. Welcome back, I'm glad to have you. So I want to talk about some things today that have been making me a little crazy. If you haven't tuned in before, this is something I talk about, things that make me nuts. And this week, I have had all these tests. Let me just say, I had all these tests last week because I'm a little bit off. I'm not feeling so great. A little tired, and when you're on estrogen replacement, you got to have your blood work tested. So I did this crazy test that was urine and spit, and it came back that I'm like, nothing's right. Everything, all my levels are off, which can happen, right? But so it seems there's this thing called your adrenal gland that we all have that apparently helps you deal with stress. And it seems that mine is dead. It's how the doctor said it was as if I drove a car with my pedal down the entire time and we just ran out of gas. So now I got to figure out how to pump back up my adrenal gland. And she was like, are you stressed and what's been stressing you? And I'm like, it's only one stressor in my whole entire life. I'm very blessed to say that, but it is true. One stressor. We all know who that is. It would be on again, off again. But it's been a long time. It's really not so stressful anymore. But through the course of this roller coaster of a situation, it has been overly stressful. Probably my fault. I should have taken things a little bit easier. That being said, one of the things now that I have to focus on is all of the stuff I'm putting in my body and what I'm actually getting from it. So here I am every morning. I take tons of supplements. I take creatine, I take a colostrum, I take NAD, I take all of these pills. When I was on the phone with my doctor, she was like, whoa, back up. What else? I have a whole drawer full of, and this supplement, turns out nothing's working. And whatever is working, they're counteracting. So I'm wondering, what do we do? We are in a place where you don't want to go to the doctor all the time for everything, right? When you were a kid, you popped a multivitamin, that was everything was great, and your body was going to just keep moving on its own. Now we got to take things for our joints, we got to take things for our brain, we got to take things for our heart. And then I'm taking all these things, and it turns out that none of them are working. She gives me this information that it seems my body doesn't process it either. I don't digest things well or something. So now I got this whole other thing. We got to check out my stomach and what's going on in my belly. So that's what's happening here. Too many vitamins, too many supplements, and I guess they're counteracting and nothing's working. So I got to start from scratch, and she's going to send me a whole new program, and we're going to start from there. So one of the things that happens over 50 is you spend a shit ton of money just trying to figure it out. Very special guest today. Dear friend of mine for a very long time. You might know her from shows like The Hills, Hell on Earth. She's the owner of People's Revolution PR company. She also wrote a book. The title is If You're Gonna Cry, Go Outside. It was a bestseller. She was a judge on America's Next Top Model. She's a dear friend of mine. She's a New York staple. She's an icon. My guest is gonna be Kelly Cutrone today, and I'm really excited about having her. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. The other day I found myself venting to Oliver, who happens to be my dog. And although he's an incredible listener, he didn't offer any feedback, any advice, any support at all. He just kind of looked at me and barked. So then it dawned on me that maybe sometimes you need some verbal support, and sometimes that may take the shape of therapy. BetterHelp allows you access to licensed therapists who can actually help and not just wag their tail when you're trying to open up. And if you're like me and you're on the go all the time, it's super easy because you can do it from the comfort of your own home. BetterHelp has over 30,000 licensed therapists, and you can switch your therapist at any time with no extra cost. So that way you can find the right fit for you. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/cook today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/cook.
What's up,
Kelly.
Double Cal.
Double
the
Cal.
fun.
2 times 2. How are you, sister?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really happy to have you.
Nice to be here.
Thank you for coming.
It's a fun walk.
Kelly walked all the way here, which is important. You should know. She got her miles in. We're going to check her health app before she leaves. I have not walked anywhere today.
Yeah.
But
a lot of tourists down here in the Fidei area.
A lot of tourists in
Very
Fidei.
busy. Beautiful day in New York.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as they say. Oh my
Yeah.
God, we should sing the song. So Kelly and I have been friends for a very long time. So one of the things that's really lucky for the two of us is we've remained friends through the gamut of time. It's been a long time, over 20 years.
Yes.
And my memory is that we met at a party for Deepak Chopra, and I would never say his name correct.
Deepak Chopra, you said
I did
it
say
right.
I said it right. I questioned myself. I should have more security.
You're fluent in wellness.
I'm fluent in wellness.
Yeah.
See? Kelly for the branding. So that's going to be my hashtag.
Time for water.
But we met, and she was doing this event for him, and it was a book plus a record.
CD.
CD. Music.
Donna DeCruz,
With Donna DeCruz.
who's married to Tommy Silverman, the founder of Tommy Boy Records, and Madonna,
Yes.
Tupac, Demi Moore.
It was a big...
I think Sinead O'Connor might have been on that record.
I think she... Oh, I don't know that. I don't know. But she was amazing. That was definitely that era.
They all read Rumi. It was a spoken word Rumi record.
Yeah.
With all the Hollywood power bitches.
It was incredible.
Reading Sufi poetry.
Yeah. And I was invited with Caitlin, a girl my brother used to date.
Abramovitz.
Who actually just friended my sister and myself. Like the universe made that happen. But that's when I remember meeting you for the first time, and it was your event, and it was like, fuck, you were getting it all done, and I was like, whoa, who is this one?
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and then a few years later, we fell in love at Soho Grand. But
We've been very connected our whole lives.
Yeah. It's a really...
Psychically.
We were, one of the things I say about our moments, we have a lot of, people talk about like, oh, the best times together, like we have these crazy separate, we're not even in the same place or in the same orbit, and she will call me at the most random times and be like, are you okay? What's happening? And
it's true. Psychic witch connection.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
It's the truth.
We're doing the Matrix.
Well, you are the Matrix. I just somehow got in it.
So are you. Everyone's the Matrix. That's what they need to understand.
Well, I'm learning.
Okay, well, you are the Matrix too.
Thank you.
I'm the Matrix, you're the Matrix. Wouldn't you want to be the Matrix too?
Be a Matrix.
I'd rather be a Matrix than a dominatrix.
I mean, I'm on the fence there, and I'm kidding. Yeah, but I think that one of the cool things for us was, I don't know, it just dinged.
It was a bell. There must be buns in the oven.
There are buns in the oven, not in either one of ours. Sorry, eyes watering. That's the whole fucking menopause thing, water coming from my face. I have drippy face. You don't have drippy face?
No.
I have drippy face. Everything.
It's hard to get information on menopause because when our mothers were young, they just took everybody's uteruses out after their last baby.
Wow.
There's a million stolen uteruses flying around. Speaking of which, they are. Like when women would go, it'd be their last baby, so it's kind of like getting your tubes tied, right? And then they would say, are you planning on having any more children? And they would say no, and they'd be like, okay, let's give you a hysterectomy.
I did not know.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they did that.
These are the same people that encourage formula over breast milk.
Right. Do you know my mother didn't breastfeed because they told her she was too stressed out and the kids would get it? The kids would get her stress.
My mom said when she gave birth, they had ashtrays in the labor and delivery room. Can you imagine? Like, holy shit, I'm 8 centimeters dilated. Hold on a second, I just want to have a cigarette. Like, what the fuck? These are the same people that gave us Hi-C and meatloaf and Kool-Aid and Pixie Sticks. So...
all the things, by the way,
crimes against humanity, suburban crimes against humanity.
All the things I love.
So you can't even go to older women and say, what's happening when my eyes are tearing? Not white women. Women of color and other cultures were much smarter. They were like, you touch my uterus, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
But white women were like, okay, does that mean I can go to the mall? Like, I don't know why everybody allowed the robbery of their uteruses, but they did.
I've absolutely never heard that.
Yes.
Learning something with you today. I love that.
Yes, stolen uterus conspiracy theory.
Well, all right, we're jumping around. But one of, so back to us. Sorry, I'm jumping back to us. Okay. A lot of my viewers know you from reality TV.
Okay.
And Hell on Earth and The Hills. I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you get on reality TV? How did that start? Because that was a jump. I remember when it happened.
I was not even trying.
Yeah, no.
I didn't audition for one TV show. What happened was Vogue was on The Hills, and Anna Wintour put Teen Vogue on that. And Lisa Love, who was the West Coast bureau chief for Vogue magazine, was the on-air talent, along with the whole publication. And they kind of pushed this whole youth quake through their collaboration with MTV. And then it served them, and they wanted to leave. And then Adam DeVillo, who does Selling Sunset, and he was the executive producer with Liz Gately and Tony DeSanto, they were like, Lisa Love, and I guess the Vogue team were like, oh, you should put Kelly Cutrone on the show. So I just got a phone call from Adam DeVillo saying like, hey, do you want to do the show? I had no idea what it was. I don't watch TV. Yeah. So,
what a brilliant.
It was the number one rated show in the history of cable. I mean, we had higher ratings than Sex and the City
and
Sopranos
to know that
combined.
About you. You know what I mean, though?
I mean, I don't know if it came from Anna or Lisa. It just came from Vogue. I can't say who it came from. But anyway, I did it for free the first season because I was like...
Did you really?
Yeah, because it was like fashion was changing. It was probably around 2010 or 2008 right around that time. And the economy is about to do the same thing right now. And, it was nosediving. A lot of brands were going out of business. Internet was like coming You know, it was just before the influencer, and, you know, there was a shift and you could see it. You know, Twitter was out, now it's X, whatever. TikTok didn't even exist. And it seemed like everything was going tech and electronic. And so I was like, I thought MTV, this is where all the young kids are. They're not married yet. You know, it was the millennials that were rocking at that time. And I was like, this is a great way to speak to them. So I'm going to do it. So I did it for the first season for free. And then after that, I was like, wait a minute, I'm kind of an integral part of this show. I think I should get paid. And then, you know, I was on there for a long time, and it was great. It was a good gig.
So how did you do? Did you go back and forth?
Yeah, sometimes we would shoot, like, the show was not the way that people thought it was. Like, they really didn't work for me. So we would have shoot dates and shoot times, and it would be like, we had People's Revolution, and then Whitney and Lauren, or Whitney and Roxy, or whether it was the city or the hills, they would just come. And then for me, I would shoot maybe 3 episodes in a day because my stuff is just coming in and out,
right.
you know? So I'd be like, you're never going to work in handbags again.
It was
boom. And then I'd just go change into another black shirt, and then I'd do a take walking in the other side of the door, and then just be like, this is disappointing, you know? And then I'm just paper.
You were, when I would mention your name, I had my nieces and nephews were like, you know, Kelly. I mean, I was like a whole, you had a whole.
It was definitely a new way of seeing women. I think that people got upset, like, that I wasn't wearing makeup, that I was, you know, and then they wanted me to be really harsh. Like, I knew what my role was on the show, you know, so that was also a really weird thing, like, and people love that. Like, they love me as the bad guy, you know? And then I think it got a little out of control because then I did the same thing on The City, then I did the same thing on Top Model, you know, and then I got that, oh my God, she's so scary. Like, have you ever met her? I heard she makes her staff eat underneath the table during Fashion Week. She has a baby.
Wait, you don't let your staff eat? What are they thinking?
Like, the whole thing is just, like, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was totally, I'm going to take off my shirt. It's getting hot.
It's that kind of show.
Wow. Yeah, I'm wearing white.
Kelly.
First time ever.
I love, this is like.
I know.
Kelly is in white.
Well, people go, why don't you wear color? And I go, I do. Black is all color.
My favorite color is white, and I was.
So black is all color. So I'm colorful.
There you go.
White is no color. So now I'm colorless. Yeah, so that was those shows. So yes.
And do you keep in touch with anybody from them?
I mean, I talked to Whitney once in a while. I was never really friends with Lauren. I mean, I didn't do a whole lot of scenes with her and stuff like that. She's okay though. I mean, it's.
And what about anyone from Next Top Model?
Yeah, I still talk to everybody.
That was a fun crew of people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in touch with Tyra and Nigel, and talk to Nigel all the time. And Brian Boy I don't talk to. Robbie Evans I talk to. Johnny Wujek I talk to.
That's fun. That was fun. That was like, I was like, okay, Kelly, I can. I did The Hills because it was, you know, peeking because you're on it.
Yeah.
But I'm too old.
Top Model was fun to work on. Another easy way to make money.
Show.
Yes, great show. Easy.
Great show.
I mean, not hard.
If this was happening today, you'd have a spinoff. Like, and I know Kelly North, but you'd have a spinoff.
We're doing a new project. Anna Delvey and I are about to do.
Yeah, you should. Like, it's definitely going to be something.
We're definitely going to do a new one.
People need to see you. I don't want to talk about reality TV too long, but
no one wants to talk about reality TV.
Not
unless it's Love Island or like my daughter and her friends. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
I like 90 Day Fiancé though.
I've never seen any of that. I watched The Real Housewives.
Oh, I never would watch it.
I'm obsessed with all of them.
God,
it's kind of a thing. You know what? I just want to keep up. I don't know. I feel like I find fashion stuff there. I want to dress. Yeah.
Why don't you just call me? I mean, if it's on, I mean, why would you have to watch Housewives to get fashion ideas?
I get like some. I get inspiration. Yes. Wow. That's very me. Halter, triple belt.
That's sad that you're getting your fashion prompts off of fucking.
Can I tell you that it's the truth?
Housewives? That is so scary. I mean,
it's better than saying I watch the Kardashians for my style.
I mean,
but a lot of people do. Although the Kardashians have some good styles.
I mean, I don't know.
All right. I just lost points.
Did you watch Kings of Tupelo on Netflix?
No.
Please, everybody. I'm going to just hijack the show. Watch Kings of Tupelo on Netflix. You're not going to believe it. It's amazing.
What is it about?
Run to your computer, put on your favorite PJs, grab a hot chocolate or a whiskey and some edibles and snuggle in for Kings of Tupelo.
What is that?
Kings of Tupelo. Okay, you want to hear
Tupelo,
about
Mississippi is where Elvis is from.
Okay, thank you so much for knowing that.
Of course I did.
I didn't know that until I watched Kings of Tupelo.
I went to his house.
Oh, you did?
I did I went to his childhood home that he was raised in and his high school.
Was it small?
It was it's in a complex and it's little houses that are attached. It's kind of everyone's attached to each other.
It's like a row of houses.
It's a row of houses.
Kind of like New Orleans, Southern style.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, Kings of Tupelo, let's talk about this. Okay, So I just came back from Fashion Week. I went to Jamaica for a couple of days, felt like a week, which was great. Go to LA to produce this event with Brazzers and Rosie Marks, and then come back. And I'm in LA, and we represent the Sunset Marquis Hotel. And the beds at the Sunset Marquis Hotel commercial are amazing, right? And they're so good that I was just like, the bed is so good, I don't even want to go out. So I was like, my thing is going to be a chocolate chip cookie and a hot chocolate, which is better than 3 glasses of wine and pasta, right? Like if you had to figure out calorically, one big chocolate chip cookie and a hot chocolate in a beautiful bed at the Sunset Marquis Hotel with Netflix is kind of like
pretty amazing
vacay time, right? So this is how I figured I was going to survive while I was being made to work for 3 weeks straight. So I get in my bed and I love documentaries, and then I start looking and I say Kings of Tupelo, and I'm like, what is this? And I accidentally miss the description and go right into the show. And the graphics were really cool. I mean, a good open is a lot. And then I'm like 10 minutes into the documentary, and I'm thinking, this can't be real. These actors are so good at playing real people. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe it's not a documentary, and maybe it's just unknown, really good actors playing real people in this fictitious story. Oh, but no. It's directed by the guys who did Wild Wild Country, you know, that Sex O Show documentary. Okay. You have to watch that if you haven't seen that. There's a great PR chick on it. She has like a nervous breakdown.
I love documentaries.
Kings of Tupelo is a story about 2 brothers who are from Tupelo, Mississippi, which is the home of Elvis impersonators. And
I know. I saw it.
You saw the show?
I saw it.
How do you not remember the name?
I don't remember the name. I was like falling in and out of sleep. So the one guy is still an impersonator.
An Elvis impersonator janitor. And what happens is he's so good at it. And his spirit, like he's happy, he has kids, he's excited. His spirit's so big that his business grows, okay? And he ultimately gets a contract to clean one of the largest independent privately owned hospitals in America, which happens to be in Tupelo, Mississippi. So everybody loves him. He's got the contract. He's making cash. His family's growing. American dream. And he's doing this dressed as Elvis. You guys, please, we interrupt this podcast to give you a movie review of Kings of Tupelo. Please check it out on Netflix. I should just do movie reviews on your show.
I think
it's great. I think
I'm going to have a Kelly segment. She's going to come in and talk about documentary movies.
We just have one right here.
I love it. All right. It's the first of many. Here's a question. Yeah. We talked about it a little bit. You had Ava by the time you were on reality TV.
I was 36 when I had Ava. Okay. I think I went on TV when I was 40.
So she traveled with you?
Everywhere.
And you had a nanny who...
Maxine. Nana? Yes, Nana G.
Yeah. One of my best memories.
It's my longest relationship.
She's the greatest.
We lived together for 18 years.
Soho Grand was my longest relationship, but I've known Nana, 100 years.
Yeah, Nana was my longest. One time, it's like, I was kind of like the guy, I guess, because at one point I was like, what are all these clothes? And she goes, they're my clothes. And I go, what are they doing here? She goes, I live here. I go, you live here?
I live here
She
now.
goes, yeah. I go, how long have you lived here? She goes, Kelly girl, I've been living here 3 years. I said, really? I said, you're in the house when I leave by myself with no childcare on the weekend? Yeah, but we lived together we were together 18 years.
She's amazing. She was amazing. I mean,
I thought we would find each other. One of us would find the other one dead. I thought we'd be together. Well, it's okay now. It won't happen because we don't. She quit because her daughter got divorced and then she raised her grandkids. But Ava was 18 then, so I mean, for the last few years, she just played Candy Crush,
right,
and sat in my loft,
right.
And I realized
I just remember you with.
She had the life I always wanted.
There you go. Well, you were working.
A stay-at-home mom. Yeah.
That was my memories of you was Ava's birthdays and how excited you always have been to do the right thing by your daughter and make sure
I lived and worked in the same building, so I had kind of a different type of life with her. You know, like I saw her every morning. I saw her every day that she came home from school. You know, I went up and saw her at dinner if it was time to put her to bed, and it was Fashion Week, and it was like 9 o'clock, and we'd be working till 12 or 2 in the morning, and you know, the first day of school is always right in the middle of Fashion Week. So, like, you know.
Did you plan her, Kelly? Did you plan on having?
No, I would think no.
No.
I mean, she wasn't unplanned, but I wasn't going like.
You weren't
baby time.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I was a 35-year-old woman having unprotected sex. So I would guess unconsciously I was fine with getting pregnant.
Right.
Like if I wasn't, I mean, maybe I would have made different choices.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't using birth control. I got pregnant and I found out right the night before the World Trade Center happened. I was at the Marc Jacobs show and I stopped off. I was bi-coastal, and I had a place on 47th between 9th and 10th. And I stopped off at CVS, and I don't even remember this, and I was stone cold sober because I didn't even drink at the time. And I ended up buying a pregnancy test and Cheerios. And I was like super into Cheerios all of a sudden. And I came home and I had a pregnancy test, and I was like, what is going on? And I took the pregnancy test, and it was positive. And it was like midnight, and I called Ava's dad, and I was like, hey, I'm pregnant. He's like, this is the greatest news I've ever heard. My mother's like, what the fuck? What, who? What? You're like, you just are married. Like, what, are you pregnant by your husband? And I was like, no, I'm not pregnant by my husband. Like, we kind of split up 10 days ago. And my mom was like, I'm not raising any more children. I was like, if you keep this up, bitch, you're never going to meet your grandchild, you know? And then the next morning, I woke up to a phone call from Ilario on Grand Street, and it was the plane had just gone through the first tower. And he was like, are you okay? And then all of a sudden, it was like, boom. And then all these people were running down the street. And I instantly, the blessing in that for me is I instantly became a mother.
Yeah.
Because as a publicist, I was like, don't believe anything you hear, stay inside. There's going to be a chemical party, you know, all this shit, debris, all this stuff. And half my staff was stuck in the subway. Like, we were doing Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Clients were calling like, Kelly, do you think my show will be starting late? I'm like, sweetie, what planet are you fucking living on? Like, there is no more Fashion Week. Like, it's over.
Yeah. People didn't get it, Kelly.
They didn't. Everybody thought like there was going to be fashion shows like 6 hours later. And I mean, my staff was stuck on the subway. I mean, there I was pregnant.
Sounds like a great fun time.
We call it the movie of the week from Canada with no one famous starring in it. They say that God doesn't give you more than you can handle, but that was a lot.
But I mean, first of all,
she's the best.
She's the best. She really, from childhood till now, from a baby till now, she's a great kid.
Yeah,
now she's an adult.
Great.
She's a woman with a boyfriend. And
my dad was really strict. He was an ex-Marine, but some of the best advice he gave me was that night when my mom said she wasn't going to raise any more kids. My dad was like, let me ask you something. Who's the father? And I'm like, Ilario Calvo. He's like, Ilario Romeo. I don't know, but I know you get bored. I want you to ask yourself, do you want to be a single mother? Because I know you. And I guarantee this is going to end up in your lap. And if you want to be a single mother, then you'll have all our support. But don't go in here thinking you just met this guy in Paris and you're going to live happily ever after. That's not how the world works. So whether he like put a spell on me or if he was telling the truth, it didn't work out that way. So, I mean, we broke up when I was pregnant and I had the baby by myself.
And everyone stayed in her life, though.
Yeah, we worked it out.
She got to know everybody. Yeah. I knew everybody, so she must.
Yeah. We worked it out. I mean, but she didn't meet her dad till she was 5. You know? So, you know, we couldn't set a meeting. It's kind of like Zelensky and Putin. I guess we couldn't come to the table.
Got it.
But we eventually did, and you know, everybody found their place and their way, and it does. Everything works out.
Yeah, she's a good kid too.
The best daughter.
Yeah, job well done. And she says the same thing about you as a mother.
Yeah, she's just lovely. You know, I mean, as far as like teenage stuff, like she was really good. Like she had a few moments, but.
And she's into fashion as well now, right?
She's like into social media.
Yeah.
And making sure I don't say the wrong thing. She's the police. That's what Anna Delvey and I call her, the police. She's
I love that.
The police. She called me the other day to telling me that my aunt, my father's sister, is 80 and has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so she's like, Aunt Bonnie's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And I think you need to think about that because it runs in your family. And then we started talking, and then I said to her, did you just call me about somebody in my family? And she was like, don't do that. That's so bad, Mommy. That's so bad.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I forget things. You know, my mom had Alzheimer's, so I...
Oh, she does?
My mom passed.
Yeah, she died, yeah.
Yeah, but she had Alzheimer's, so I forget things.
Did she recognize you at the end, or no?
No, she didn't know my name.
How did that affect you?
It was terrible. It's terrible. It's one of watching. There's the thing about Alzheimer's is it's the way it happens is like first you're losing bits and pieces of them and you get angry at them. You know, you're like, what do you mean? How do you know? And then you realize she was diagnosed, and then I was like, okay, she can't remember, so don't get mad at her for the silly things that are happening.
It's like being in a blackout. You're basically with somebody in a blackout.
It's a really terrible, and the progression is just so hard to watch, where I know I used to say all the time, if she's laughing, as long as she's laughing, then I'm okay, as long as and I don't have to have her remember me, as long as she's finding things funny. And then that stopped too. Then she was just deadpan. There was no emotion. Sad. It was horrible. But yeah, I mean,
How did she actually pass? Because she don't really pass from Alzheimer's.
No, she... Well, your body starts shutting down because you forget to tell it what to do. But my mother had what turned out to be the widowmaker, and we had no idea. And
what's that?
It's some kind of closed valves all around your heart where she had no
That's
blood
what they
flow.
call it?
Yeah,
They should have probably changed that word.
They call it the widowmaker, and they say that the reason and the only symptom is sudden death, and that's why they call it that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's no way of knowing it's happening.
Oh. Well, that's kind of a blessing for her.
Yeah, she was asleep. It was on Thanksgiving 2020.
That's great.
Yeah. One of the things, and I feel horrible saying this, and I've talked about this before, is that because my dad died first and she was alone and she had Alzheimer's and it was a constant fear. It's like, I think it's sort of like being a parent where you're constantly worried about them. My mother used to say having a kid is like having your heart outside your body. When you have a parent who can't take care of themselves, you're always afraid. So in some small way, and not that I don't miss her every day, but there was a relief when she passed. Of
course, you don't want to live like that.
Yeah, she would have hated it. As soon as she didn't recognize us, she would have been like, she was,
and
when
then
you're
you don't
a mom,
even know, like, yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Take it as a blessing. I mean, we all have to say goodbye sometime, but like, you can live for 30 years with that disease, and it's financially, emotionally, psychically, spiritually debilitating. And then it's like being in a dead marriage or something. Like, you've already gone through the loss of your parent before their physical body is gone.
You're saying goodbye all the time.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with this Instagram reel. This guy, Dan SoCal, do you know him?
No.
Dan Salinger. He lives with his father who has Alzheimer's, and I watch their videos. He always gets up at like sundowning and he comes out and he's like, and it's really crazy because he goes, "Where am I?" And then he goes, "Dad, I'm your son. I'm Dad." And he goes, "You're my son?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You look kind of old to be my son." It's just like, it's a beautiful story of family.
I wish I've documented a bunch of my stuff with my mom. There was a play once, Frank Langella did The Father on Broadway, and I had no idea what I was going to see. I thought, but the play was from the patient's version of life. So that the daughter constantly changed, the room was always different. So you saw it. It was beautifully done. That like the Alzheimer's patient didn't understand, like, why are you here? I've been here all day, but aren't you my daughter? No, I'm your nurse. And it's like, but they would interchange. You got to see in the mind of the Alzheimer's patient. It was pretty heavy. Frank Langella. I think he won the Tony for it, and if he didn't, he should have. But it was an incredible play. One thing about you is that you're extremely spiritual.
Okay.
You are.
I am. I'm not downplaying it. My whole life is devoted to all the Divine Mothers.
Yeah, and that's true. In touch with people's feelings and very conscious of energies and things around you. And again, I told you psychic.
Yes, I'm psychic. I think I called you right before your mom passed, actually. I was in a car driving to Virginia in one of my niece's weddings.
Mom and dad, you called me.
Both of them.
Yeah. You called, and again, you called me the first day On Again, Off Again left me back in 2013. Father's passing in 2012, mother's passing in 2020. But then there's just random times that you'll be, and I'm just feeling down, or...
The mother will tell me to call you. So go call Kelly Fahey, check in with her, see how she is.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And sometimes I ignore it for like a couple times, but then if it comes back...
Great, Kelly, where are you when I need you?
No. then I'll call afterward. Yes, I do a lot of that. I mean, I think it's important, right? Like, the world needs somebody to be thinking about it.
Yeah. It's nice to have, from my perspective of having you as a friend, is I just know I can always call. Like,
you
I really
can
know
always
that.
call me.
I really know
Nobody ever calls me to get yogurt or like, you want to go to putt-putt golf. People are like, my boyfriend just stole $80,000 from me. My boyfriend fucked his assistant. Blah, blah, blah. I'm about to lose. Like, this morning, a friend of mine who's like a major person in the beauty world is like, I need $50 million or I'm going to kill myself. I'm like, okay, I'm just at the hair salon getting my hair dyed. Can I call you back? Suicide's not an option.
You have such a powerful presence, and people are so... afraid of you, which is, you say what you need. You're not someone who's going to talk about someone behind their back. You say what you need, you say what you want, you speak the truth. And I don't know why people are afraid of that, unless you're a conniving
I think at this point, like, I represent a lot of archetypes that are not embraced in the Western world, right? So I wear all black. That immediately says, like, witch, non-sexual, dangerous, gangster. When people see somebody in all black, that's just how they think about it. I mean, that seems to be the perception. Then, society thinks that feminine means skinny, pretty, agreeable, and sweet. But if you look in nature, the feminine, what's the most dangerous animal in a forest? A mother with her children, right? So the whole concept of femininity has been totally become anorexic, like women themselves. It's been amputated, it's been cauterized. You can use 100 different words for it. But the divine feminine is not fully expressing itself on this planet in mass. I hold monotheism. Guilty for that. Monotheism is one God. So Islam, Judaism, and Christianity.
Okay, so I'm a
If you're a Catholic?
I'm Catholic.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you a question. How does it feel to be part of a religion where the religion was founded around a Messiah who only appeared to women, but women can't speak? How does that make you feel?
I don't go by the Christian Catholic Bible.
Okay, so you're not a Catholic then?
I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. And then what did he say? What was his second part of that teaching? And so are you. So then the question is, if he said, I'm the Son of God and so are you, then are you also the Son of God or the daughter of God?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you were the daughter of God, why couldn't you speak at your church as an authority on that birthright?
I think it was men that run the church. I think it was
okay,
people
there's your
who were
answer.
Scared. Yeah.
So until that changes, like, I want no part of that stuff. And I don't think you should go either. And by the way, your Pope is not doing so well, and I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't go to church. I'm baptized Catholic.
Well, why don't you just call yourself a Christian?
Christian. I feel like that seems
because
more...
Catholic, I mean, they've done a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's a lot of... I know, yeah. It was a big thing in my family.
It's a big gay party.
Yeah, it's a gay...
Then they're like, okay, we're going to recognize homosexuality, but we're not going to let women be priests. Like, and then Islam just kicked her out altogether. Judaism, at least they allow rabbis, but, then they created Lilith, who was this filthy whore, And then you have Eve, who, like, ruined the world because she had these children, and one of them was the first murderer, David and Goliath, and then she bit the apple, and she let the devil loose. Like, all of these stories are really fucked up. And women get them from a really young age, and that's really crazy because we're the ones delivering the next generation of humanity. Mm-hmm. So every day we're told, like, you should make less, you should clean my house, I don't mind doing that shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, but there's no balance between the masculine. And that's why I really think that people misunderstand feminism. I don't think women are better than men. And I don't think that men are better than women. I think that men are physically stronger than women. I think that women are more emotional and they have better intuition. But of course, within every gradation, there's exceptions to those rules. But sure, and they should be working together because we live in a world of duality, like day, night, me, you, we, them, he, she. So it's like, I just don't get what happened to the feminine. And, my theory is that everybody tried to own God. And, once they had fire and once they had food and once they figured out, they were like, well, in my world, God is blah, blah, blah. And then they get there and they're like, well, it's really hard to focus on this because her hair is so beautiful, her breasts are, what are we going to do? Kick her out. And it's just sad.
There's some Catholic verses for weddings that when I was younger and my friends were getting married, that my friends were like, oh, can you read this? And it was like, I will love thy husband like I did thy God. And I'm like, well, I'm not saying...
I would love to love my husband like I love my God. I'm all for that. I think it's sexy. In India, which shout out to the Indians, so at least they wrote a whole book on sex called the Karma Sutra because they see it as a divine thing. And there's also something called lingam worship. Do you know what that is?
No, but I like it.
It's you basically pray to Shiva's dick. So even in Hinduism,
so basically it's my relationship.
Shiva lingam is you pray to God's dick. And I think if you do have a partner who happens to be the opposite, if you're a woman and you're with a man and you pray to his dick like you would pray to God's dick, I think that's hot. I think that's sexy. Like, why wouldn't you want your lover to be your God?
Off again is like,
then
Kelly
you can
Cutrone
sleep
for
like
the win.
gods. Then you can sleep like angels. That's how it should be.
Yeah,
Shiva
I'm
lingam.
into dick worship.
This
I have
ancient practices were so much more fun.
And you get a lot out of it.
You get a lot out of it. There's rituals to do. You get yourself a big Shiva stone. You throw some jasmine and some honey, and you pour some milk over it.
Wow.
It's sexy, and you're ready to go.
Jasmine?
Shiva lingam worship.
Shilingam.
I think that's hot. That's why I think witches are more fun. They're ready for the win on that stuff. They're like, they see that sex is a sacred thing.
With all the things you think about women and empower, all the stuff, your whole, how did the menopause transition work? How did that flow for you? Because I think you're very in touch with getting. I mean, do you remember getting your period?
I do remember getting my period.
I remember wanting it. I don't remember getting it. I don't remember the day I got it, which is I think a lot of women do. I do remember I never got it again after I had the COVID vaccine. I never had menopause, nothing. I got the vaccine and never got my period again.
Wow.
I didn't go and then it was like straight to menopause.
Give thanks to Lily.
I mean, it happened. I was like...
You might have and you might not have noticed. I mean, did you get sweats? Were you like hot at night or did you wake
None
up?
of that happened till after menopause.
Did you feel fuzzy?
I mean, I always feel fuzzy.
Like, I have a hard time focusing.
That's my life. I was probably hungover. I can't blame menopause. But I never missed a period. I didn't have any weight gain. I didn't have the sweats. I didn't have hot flashes.
I had all of those things.
All of that happened after
I got incredibly fat and then sweat a lot. And
Did you do hormone replacement?
No. I don't do any Western meds.
So do you do anything that's not Western meds?
Moringa and... I do like...
Someone told me
ashwagandha.
So I should start taking ashwagandha because my adrenal gland is gone. I have no more adrenal gland. It's not working at all. I just did all these tests and my melatonin is at a 1.
Yeah, you should... Do you like Ayurvedics or anything? Like, or Chinese medicine?
I don't know anything about it. I'm open.
I think that drugs are bad as a rule. I'm not that into them. Like, I'd rather just have the problem that I have. Like, I have rheumatoid arthritis. And I don't take any medicine for it.
Really? And are you in pain?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you deal with the pain?
Either through meditation or like magnesium or... I mean, I'm going to probably have to... The RA doesn't have anything to do with like my physical pain. No. I mean, you get joint pain.
Yeah.
You know, and you got like really crazy, like I get this
little weird bumps. Yeah, my mom had RA.
Yeah. It's not pleasant. But, like, I don't want to be on freaking Humira. No offense. I guess I won't get... I guess I won't get a sponsorship from Humira, but
I want Humira.
I don't know. I just don't really mess with medicine. I will take antibiotics if I have like really serious bronchitis. I think I'm very pro antibiotics, like in the 11th hour.
Yeah, as what they're made for when you're really actually sick. Yeah.
Like a
I got pumped so many antibiotics when I had what I have.
Appendicitis?
Thank you. I was like, I think you actually called me too.
I did.
I think I was in Rome with the... Yes, I actually think you called me when I was...
You must be on my psychic call list.
I'm on the psychic call list. Yeah. But I had appendicitis and they pumped me with all these antibiotics in Rome and I ended up getting this thing called C. diff. So I can't take antibiotics anymore. I can only take the ones, there's like 2 or 3 that I can take and none of them are covered by insurance, but whatever.
You used to be able to get them in Mexico, but now you're going to need a visa. Yeah. I love the fact that this woman is, the president of Mexico is making Americans get visas to go to Mexico. I think it's genius.
Here's the thing about being over 50, getting to 50, which is a great place to be. How's dating for you? How are you doing that? You don't do online, I'm imagining, correct? I
would never do online dating. Are you fucking kidding me? That is like, I can't believe that people do. The 2 things that baffle me are Airbnb and online dating. Both of them are just like the most stupid shit I've ever... If you're traveling alone, one of my clients did in London, and I swear to God, I was like, okay, they're poor, whatever. I'll stay in this Airbnb, and they really built it up like, oh, you're gonna love it. It's an apartment on Goldhawk Road. Translation, at the time, not a very nice neighborhood in London. I'm like used to staying in Mayfair. Whatever, I'm from Syracuse. I'm like, I can handle it. I get in this place, and I'm just like, there's gotta be cameras in here. This place is disgusting. And I'm like, and it was a key. You know, I could see staying in an Airbnb that has a computer code that can be changed, but think about it. You're a rapist or you're a psychopath. Okay? Mm-hmm. If that were me, what would I do? I would go to areas, I would rent apartments that look very girly, right? Or very cute. And I would go and I would Airbnb. They give you the key, right? I would go and make copies of that fucking key.
They don't change the keys?
No, every time.
I've never stayed in one. I don't know.
Think about it. You're charging $160 or $200 a night.
Yeah.
You're going to call a locksmith for $400 in London and come change your door?
Yeah, that would be
No, you're not. Like, I don't think it's safe. I mean, I think, okay, you're going with 5 people. I mean, your chances of getting shot up in Montana and, like, renting a lodge is probably not. But you're, like, a young woman traveling alone. New York, London, LA, Miami. I think it's highly unsafe.
You know, I have to say I feel the same way.
These people, by the way, have PR teams, and they all day long, they're dealing with payouts for people who have been kidnapped in cars. No offense, Uber, but like, let's face it, you know, it's not the safest thing, you know, and I worry about that as a mom too for my daughter. I'm like, I think New York taxi cabs are the safest.
There's none around though. It's so hard to get these days because the Uber.
I know, but how great is it? They actually know where they're going.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
but yeah, Airbnb, no, that's a no-fly zone for me.
And no online dating.
Never would I on a date. I went on a date once by accident. I've never even been on a date, ever.
You have boyfriends.
Yeah, but that's not how it happens. Like,
how does it fucking happen?
I've never been on a date, and if I went on a date, I would lose my mind. I went on a date once by accident. I was in Jamaica. True story. So with my ex-boyfriend. So
that's why he's your ex-boyfriend.
I'm sustainable.
She went on the date with somebody.
I redate people that I've dated, and no point in throwing them out. It's like a great sweatshirt that you just don't maybe want to part with forever.
That's fucking funny.
So yeah, so I was there. I was like seeing my lover, who I guess is my ex-boyfriend, and then I was seeing him, and then I noticed like a few times when I was there, like it was kind of the game was changing up. Like there was like more like care than frolic, you know. It was really like, how's it going? Not like, yo, I'm gonna like, let's roll. Right. Like, you know, it was like, okay, this is like intimate. And so he asked me to go to where he grew up, right? So I'm in a car, I have a driver, it's like driving Miss Crazy. I have a driver. And he goes, he goes, let's go to my, you know, he's a reggae star, but he has this like bar or whatever. And he's like, let's go to like my parish, which is like their little community. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, my friend's got a bar. He's like spinning there. So we go like basically into the bush. And there's this like little aluminum siding bar, and we pull up there, and his like school and family friends are there, and I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, yeah, man, I'll be right back. And so my driver, Dave, I go, Dave, what's going on here? He goes, you're on a date, girl. And I'm like, I'm on a date?
I'm dead.
He goes, yeah, this is a date. I go, why is it a date? And he goes, because he's taking you to his home. He's introducing you to his friends from high school. This is a date. This is serious. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm like the kind of girl that shows up with somewhere I have energy with somebody. We like connect. We realize we have energy. We hang out, and then I'm in a relationship with them. Like, I don't
I've only met boyfriends. I've never met you.
I've never been on a date, ever, 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 ever.
Would you like to be on a date?
I met Ronnie Cutrone because I left an 8-ball of Coke in his pocket in like 1987. And I tried to get it back, and then that's how I ended up in a relationship with him. I met John Trudell on the floor at William Morris. He walked me up against the wall and said, you and me, we're going to know each other for a real long time. I said, that sounds good to me. I met my husband, Jeff, by giving him a tarot card reading. I met Ava's father in the lobby of the Cost Hotel during Fashion Week. I just kind of walk into love, and it doesn't happen very often, obviously.
I think it's very difficult to balance. How would you balance? It's hard for you to balance.
I don't know. It's not, you know, you can't have everything. You know, some people have great love, you know. Some people have great careers. Some people have great kids. Some people have...
You're checking these off.
I have a lot, but I don't have like... I'm the worst. I mean, I love a bad boy, you know.
That I know.
I'm a bad girl. I love a bad boy. I love a criminal. I love a thug, you know.
We have more in common than I... You know what's funny is because you only know...
I love a guitar player. I love a skater. I only once dated, not even dated. I was hanging out with somebody, and we woke up one morning, and he goes, oh my God, I have to go to work. And I was like, you have a job? And he goes, yes, I do. It was my Italian phase when I was only dating Italian men. And then I was like, what do you do? He goes, I'm a presenter for Rye Television. I was like, well, you better get to the office. Like, I was like shocked. I mean, I've never even dated like an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. I've never dated anybody who wasn't an artist, an ex-gamer, a drug dealer. Yeah. I mean, I've been like pretty polyamorous, not by choice, but you know, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, if you're in another country, I don't know. Yeah. Right now, I just kind of I want to be alone, kind of.
People ask me that all the time because of the on again, off again situation. It's like, well, don't you wanna? And I'm like, wanna what? I don't know what I want. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I think at some point when it's right, it's going to be right. Like right now, it just doesn't feel like it would make any sense.
I think when you have I mean, you're like deeply connected to this guy. Like I'm not in that situation. So like I could stumble into something and be totally fine. Yours is a little more complicated.
A little complicated. I got to meet a guy who's like, oh, and what do I have to share you with? What are you doing next week? Yeah, but
it's
I mean,
hard,
it's
though.
more
when
emotional.
You have energy, love is tricky, you know.
Yeah.
I always say that Cupid is a blindfolded angel with a weapon in his hand. It's like, it's
fantastic.
Dangerous.
It's fantastic.
It's dangerous. Love is a dangerous drug, man. It's like that Brian Ferry song, like love is a drug. It's intense because real love is not what we think it is, Real love doesn't ask any questions. It doesn't, Real love doesn't have boundaries. Real love doesn't have any of those fucking words. Real love is just radiating love. And when you're really in a state of pure love, you don't have jealousy, you don't have anything, you're just love.
I think the only way I can compare that, though, is how you feel about, for me, how I felt about my parents. Like I was saying.
No, there's a higher love than that.
I don't know that. I mean, I know that I love on again, off again for sure, but it's a different kind of love.
There's a love that's higher than that, I mean, most people have sex to feel that feeling of like, but when you're...
Does that actually happen? Have you ever had that feeling?
Absolutely, I have. Not only through sex, but like through meditation and everything,
I'm just getting to be like that old, grumpy old lady who's like, I've never had... No, I definitely... Sex, intimacy, and... Yes, I've definitely had the mind-blowing,
What do you think about Cher and her boyfriend?
Cher and her boyfriend. I don't have an opinion of it.
I think she looks like she's having fun.
I think it's... For me... I don't date younger guys.
Me either.
I never have, and it's a turn.
I have once. I dated somebody like 23 years younger than me.
Did I meet him?
I don't know.
I feel like I did. I tend to find younger guys unappealing. It's not. I don't.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I know other people do. I have a friend that I.
But Kelly, you get to an age where, I mean, speaking about things over 50, like, how are you going to date older? Like, there comes a time where you just have to hit the brakes and go, okay, that was cute for a while, but I don't think it's so good now. Look at poor Gene Hackman. What's going on over there?
What is going on over there?
Well, I'd like to know. I mean, they're mummified. There's pills on the counter. It's
the
New
dog
Mexico.
is dead.
One dead dog, two no dogs.
The only dog that was dead was in a kennel, which breaks my heart because the dog was in the kennel in the bathroom next to the wife, which means it starved to death. Unless there was some gas in the house. The dog was inside its cage.
They say no gas.
So then the dog starved to death, which makes me... I mean, whatever happened to them, God bless, but I care more about that dog starving to death in the kennel.
I can't take it much longer. I'm surprised the other dogs didn't eat them. That's what I thought.
One was outside.
And one was inside.
And one was inside. Yeah, I don't know why. There must have been random food around. Because they would have. Most dogs by nature would have eaten the... Mummified, Kelly. How long? I don't know. I have more... Hopefully.
They said 2 weeks they were in there for.
Imagine... I think people would look for me.
I thought at first it was a suicide, because she's 30 years younger than him, 34 years younger than him. And I thought, maybe his days were numbered. And they knew it, and they had like a death pact, which would be kind of sexy. But do you know what else? Do you know when you die? This is wild. When you die, you have a Death Star. So just like you have an astrology of your birth, there's an astrology of your death. And depending on the time and month that you die and where you die, there are songs for the dead that can be sung based on longitudes and latitudes.
I didn't know. I guess who would ask? Family.
Well, you want to hear how I found out about it? I work with Amma, the hugging saint, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and she was at the Javits Center, and I was outside putting somebody in a car, and this guy came walking down the street, and he looked really upset. And I was like, what's going on? He goes, what is this? What's going on here? And I'm like, oh, there's this guru from India. She's inside. And he's like, oh, I just had the worst night of my life. I said, well, what happened? He goes, I got a phone call from my sister that my father had died. And when I went to call my brother, his wife answered the phone, went into his room, and my brother was dead too. Different states. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Do you have chills?
Yeah,
I have chills.
crazy.
I was like, this is crazy because this woman inside is like a holy person from India. Like, I'm going to take you to her
so
now.
So people wait online.
This is like 3 in the morning in the middle of like New York City, no
Tell
one
the people
around.
who are watching who
I'm reaching on to amma.org, AMMA.org. You can see she's called the Hugging Saint. She goes on.
People wait for hours
12,
and
15,
hours.
In India, days to meet her.
To meet her and to hug her.
But in New York,
Kelly's
it's
a friend of
like
hers.
12 hours. I do PR with her. I brought him in to meet Amma, and I like grab this guy, get a garland of flowers. I'm like, here, give her this garland of flowers. I'm going to take you up because there was a really long line still because it's kind of an emergency. And like, I place him with Amma, and you can see Amma, like her face just was so full of compassion. And then she called her Swami, some of her Swamis over. And then they did this Ayurvedic, and I learned about the Death Star. And the Death Star is this time of passing that you have. And like her kind of take, and I'm paraphrasing on it, was just like, oh, they must have had like an agreement. They like left on the same Death Star. So that's pretty interesting.
Wow.
Death Star.
So
no one's talking about that as a trend yet.
If you have to know.
Like your parents, the time that they died.
Yeah.
You can have their Death Star done. They can look at their Death Star and what note they went out on. And then in India and Tantra, which is the magical part of Hinduism underneath it, which is non-denominational, it kind of is I'm a Tantrika, so I do that practice, but I'm not a Hindu. There are songs that you sing, and there are different prayers at those different hours for those souls. And that's the vibration, the pitch of, a tuning of helping their soul move.
Wow.
Isn't that pretty?
That's amazing.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
Very beautiful.
Death Stars. I mean, I've heard it, but that's some kind
sexy.
of like
It's beautiful. Like
Star Wars thing, a Death Star.
Yeah.
Isn't it some kind of
it can be seen, but no, it's not. It's
I love this.
high vibration kind
yeah.
of stuff.
If there's like I imagine if you hear it, if you can like figure out if you get the right time and all that stuff, and it's an actual song, like I wonder if it would resonate with me different.
Well, yeah,
because
it
my
would
parents.
probably help you because it's your genetics.
Yeah. I have to hit you with our hot flashes now, which is a weird jump.
Okay.
Hot flashes. So there's going to be random quick questions. Are you
Okay.
ready?
All right, let's
Are you
go.
ready? Favorite neighborhood in New York City?
Little Italy.
Is your favorite Hudson Valley or New York City?
For nature, Hudson Valley. For money, New York City.
Craziest thing you ever said on camera? And you don't have to repeat it, but you remember?
Well, fuck on a live national network television show, which is against the law.
Did you get in trouble?
Oh yeah, I almost got fined by the FCC. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I say fuck a lot.
yeah, and people thought I did it on purpose to sell more books. They were like, "She's a genius." I'm like, "Oh my god, I was humiliated." They asked me to leave.
What fashion trend would you ban forever?
For guys wearing your pants around your thighs, I think that should be a no.
Was that ever a
zone.
trend, or was it like a certain about?
Oh, it's definitely a trend. I mean, Justin Bieber was walking around just the other day, like
He still does it, yeah.
he was like in some kind of Western, and he had like 30 pounds of weight on his legs because his pants were so low and he was belted.
That's a prison trend. I don't think
Bianca
people realize.
Censori would be a fashion trend I would ban forever. I feel horrible for her. I think she just is like in a really bad spin-off of the Marquis de Sade.
I spoke about her. Yeah, I feel really.
She's just, I don't know. She went down like the narcissistic K-hole of like codependence. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good thing I'm not her mom. I would have fucking come to grab
Yeah,
her.
well,
I would have grabbed her.
I don't think we'd be hearing from Kanye if you were her mom. So.
Oh my God. Oh
That's a whole
my
other one.
goodness. I've already had Kanye issues. So enforced full coverings of women,
Okay.
I think is a bad thing unless they want to do it, unless they really want to keep their hair and their eyes and their breasts and everything hidden. If they want to do that and that's how they want to be with their lover, then I respect that. But mandatory covering up of women is a fashion trend that I'm not into. In the airport, in the first class lounge, and it was amazing, like women like fully covered, waiting to be told where to sit, like nuts.
I can't wrap my...
I don't think we're good candidates for
we're
that role.
definitely not good candidates. But I was in London years back, and we were staying in this hotel, and most of the hotel was in hijabs. The women were all covered, but underneath you could see like the diamonds and the
they have like a whole separate
crazy.
world.
I'm like,
but
how are
I'm
you
just
covering
saying,
that up? I'd be like, look at this.
That's all fine if that's what you're into, but I just think if it's mandatory and you're not allowed to go to school, but you want to go to school, like where you want to wear different clothing and you can't because I don't really take fashion trends that seriously.
Do you have a favorite time?
No, they're all pretty much the same. Like, like you can do corsetry for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. You can do like the BBL, like the old school version was like the Victorian peplum, like
right.
where it was like really focusing on small waist, big ass, right? Like that was very 1800s, and that's kind of like what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. Almost every trend, like pants have been around for women since the 40s. Mm-hmm. Still, pants are seen as an alternative garment for women. They're always seen as like progressive.
Still.
Yeah, pants. Like if you got married in a pantsuit, that would seem very progressive.
That's really true.
That's how slow everything really is.
I never even thought about that. It's still a wedding dress.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you a fashion trend I really do not like. Bleached eyebrows, I think, are not pleasant.
That's a new thing that everyone's doing. A lot of my friends' kids are doing
yesterday, but still today. Like I thought it would just die after a couple seasons, but like.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like techie, alien techie.
Yeah. Star Trek-y.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm not so into that.
Not into it either.
No.
I don't like all tight anything. It really bothers me unless you're going dressy. Like, I think there should always be a big and a small.
Well, you're so skinny.
Thanks, Cal.
I'm surprised that you don't like tighter clothing. Because if I was thinner, I'd wear tighter clothing.
I will wear a tight top with a baggy bottom, or a tight bottom with a baggy top.
Okay, so you're discreet, but there's an inference that you're locked and loaded and ready to
That's
roll.
right.
Oh, someone's at the door.
Come in.
Oh, it's Anna Delvey.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for coming. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good.
Anna, the A to the D, as we like to call her.
Yeah. Anna and I are going to get into it.
I'm going to split.
Kelly's
I'm going
gonna
upstate.
Split. She's going to go upstate. Thank you very
I'm
much.
going to leave you with the Kelley.
Yeah, come.
Yeah. Let you guys do your own interview.
Thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for showing up for another episode of Still Can't Cook. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on YouTube or any other podcast provider. And if you're on Instagram or TikTok, please follow us at Still Can't Cook. Love to have you guys back every week. So happy that you joined us and look forward to seeing you next week.